evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Scottish Fire Brigades Heritage Trust, I'd like to welcome you to a charity concert at the Beacon Arts Centre here in Greenock. Before we start, I'd like to acknowledge a few of our invited guests we have here tonight. We have the Chief Officer of the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, Ross Haggart, and we have the Provost of Inverclyde, Drew Mackenzie. We also have our sponsors here who, due to their generosity, have made this concert available and worthwhile, and so thank you for coming to sponsor this event. But last but no means least, I'd like to a special thank you to each and every one of the audience who's come along here to support this event. Thank you. Tonight we've got the band of the Royal Regiment of Scotland. We're honoured and privileged that the band have come to play for us tonight. All the band members are serving soldiers in the British Army. And all proceeds from tonight's concert will go to the Scottish Fire Brigades Heritage Trust and the Army Benevolent Fund, the Soldiers' Charity. Tonight, our concert is to celebrate 200 years of the Scottish Fire Service. The very first fire service, municipal fire service in the world, was established in 1824 in Edinburgh. That was 200 years ago this year. And the first fire chief was James Braidwood. James Braidwood later went on to establish the London Fire Brigade, and he was an inspirational leader whose procedures and practices laid the foundation for today's modern fire service. Tonight's concert is dedicated to the 200 years of firefighting in Scotland and to the rich legacy that James Braidwood has left for us. The band have very kindly produced an evening of fire-themed music for our entertainment tonight. So the director of music of the band is Major Brendan Wheeler, who you'll see later this evening. But I'll hand you over to the band of the Royal Regiment of Scotland and their bandmaster, W2 Chris Brown.
Well, good evening, sirs, mums, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Beacon Arts Centre. My name is Major Brendan Wheeler, and I am the Director of Music of the band of the Royal Regiment of Scotland. It's a pleasure to be back here. Last year, in fact, was one of my very first gigs that I did with the band. Coming across the M8s from Edinburgh across to Greenock today was reminiscing of my times arriving in Scotland for the first time. So it's very nice to be back, and it's particularly nice to be here to support the Scottish Fire Brigades Heritage Trust. When we're putting these programs together, they're all the people that we're here to support. They always come with a different flavour, different trusts, different charities, and so we're always trying to capture. And I hope this evening you'll see that we've tried to capture the trust in many different lights. But we also are here to entertain. And so one of the things that I'm here, when I arrived in Scotland, is I quickly learnt who Robbie Burns, amongst other very famous Scottish people over the years. So when we were putting this together, we came across this great work. It's based on Burns' poem Tam O'Shanter, about a young man in Ayr who likes to go to the pub probably a little bit too frequently, that his wife would allow. And he rides his horse home in quite a drunken state. He comes across an abandoned church full of witches casting spells and doing some crazy stuff. And until they eventually see him, he jumps on his horse Meg. He chases across the River Doon. Just before he gets there, the witches cut off the tail of his horse. And he wakes up the next morning wondering if it's all been a dream or not, until he sees that his horse has no tail. Malcolm Arnold's put this story to music, and it's a fantastic work. We've found some great footage, which will hopefully bring the whole thing to light. So please enjoy Sir Malcolm Arnold's Tam O'Shanter. And it was fiendishly difficult as well. I probably left that bit out. Did you follow the story okay? Excellent. It's a great bit of writing, it's a great bit of literature, and we've thoroughly enjoyed putting it together, and I definitely gets a bit of a workout putting it all together.
So I'm the bandmaster, Chris Brown, and for me this is my first concert with the band here in Greenock, because I was posted to the band in October last year, so I just missed this concert, which is a great shame. I'm very pleased to be here tonight. And so our next piece, I'm just going to talk about how it holds such a very special place in the hearts of many people associated with the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service and with the Trust. And it's become the unofficial hymn of the Scottish Fire Services, sung each year at the Communion Hymn at the Special Service of Thanks for James Braidwood, the founder of the Fire Brigades, as we were talking about earlier, celebrating 200 years. So his statue sits just outside St Giles Cathedral, where we played earlier this year, opposite the City Chambers, and just behind where the band plays every year on Remembrance Sunday. This piece was originally composed by Mosey Lister in 1955 for gospel singers, and it was later recorded by Elvis Presley. And when we began planning the concert, we were asked to perform this piece, but sadly there wasn't a wind band version available. Do not despair. We set one of our newest members of the band the task of arranging this piece. And I'm sure many of you will know this hymn. I'm referring to, of course, Where No One Stands Alone, arranged by our very own talented Sergeant Scott. ladies and gentlemen. We're mostly towards the end of the first half of tonight's concert, sadly, and there will be an interval where you can get some refreshments, buy some gifts from the various souvenir stores for the fire service charities. But we have one more piece to play before the interval, and it's a very well-known piece to wind bands and brass bands alike, and seemed the most appropriate way to close the first half of this concert, mainly due to the rousing melodies of Paul Lovett Cooper, who's cleverly woven these together, but also because of the theme, and especially relevant due to the memorandum of understanding between the Scottish Fire and Rescue Services and the Salvation Army, which mainly provides welfare support to firefighters across Scotland. It was commissioned for the 120th anniversary of the International Staff Band of the Salvation Army, and named after the Salvation Army's motto, Fire and Blood. So it seemed particularly appropriate. So to conduct Fire and the Blood by Paul Lovett Cooper, please welcome back to the stage our Director of Music, Major Brendan Wheeler.
welcome back. The next two songs that we're going to perform for you are of an important nature, and I just wanted to take the time to introduce the first one, which is about service in the military. And we wouldn't exist as a band as we are if it wasn't for the service that comes first and foremost, as many people in this hall know. This year marks the North Atlantic Treaty Organization's 75th anniversary, and it's probably just as relevant now as it was when it was established 75 years ago, because of many things that are going on in the world at the moment. To celebrate the 75th anniversary of NATO, Admiral Munch, from the commander of Joint Force Command Naples, decided to put on a concert, which many of us were very lucky to attend and perform at, and it was to perform this piece commissioned by him by a composer called Chris Buchanan, who works in the US Navy Band in Washington, and we were really lucky to work with him and other fellow US Navy musicians just recently, a couple of weeks ago, to put this piece together. It's a wonderful work. It takes us on a journey from NATO's establishment 75 years ago after the Second World War, and goes through all the elements of humanitarian support and everything that NATO has done for the world, and particularly for the Western world. We stand in solidarity against aggression from the East. So I hope you enjoy this work, and hopefully encapsulates everything that NATO and we as serving British personnel stand for.
Inevitable. We do not believe that there are blind tides of history which sweep men one way or another. In our own time, we've seen brave men overcome obstacles that seemed insurmountable and forces that seemed overwhelming. Men with courage and vision can still determine their own destiny. They can choose slavery or freedom, war or peace. I have no doubt which they will choose. The treaty we are signing here today is evidence of the path they will follow. If there is anything certain today, if there is anything inevitable in the future, it is the will of the people of the world for freedom and for peace.
come here to support the Fire Trust without having, without doing something similar, to acknowledge your service and to acknowledge what the fire service men and women put their lives on the line every night when we all go safely to our beds. And I just want to shout out a big thank you to the Trust, who, when we were putting this together, many months ago, we had a piece in mind and we were trying to set it to music, and they were sending us through some great footage and some films to sort of put to music. And I want to say a big thank you to my team, who have spent countless of hours putting what you're going to see over the next 4 or 5 minutes of film. So the music that we decided to use was the Benedictus, which I'm sure many of you are aware from Sir Carl Jenkins' An Armed Man. And I think this piece really brings home, and hopefully the hours of work that has gone into this will hopefully have an impact on you all this evening. So I hope you take a moment to reflect on this is Sir Carl Jenkins' Benedictus. going to move into our sort of finale, foot tapping, and much more relaxed style now into the concert. And for that, I'm going to welcome back to the stage the bandmaster WO2 Chris Brown to conduct something I'm sure needs no introduction.
Thank you very much indeed, ladies and gentlemen. That, of course, was Earth, Wind and Fire's In the Stone. Now, it seems that this evening is an evening of complete anniversaries. So it was the Fire Brigades 200th anniversary, it's NATO's 75th anniversary, it was Tom's 1, which beats my 0, yeah, absolutely. But for those of you who follow certain singing competitions, you'll know that this year is ABBA's 50th anniversary, which is quite something, isn't it? And the spin-off stage show, which has been running for 25 years, so that's a whole year of anniversaries all in one evening, which is probably a bit too much to cope with. But we're going to perform a piece for you now, just to keep those feet tapping, if you feel like singing along, if you feel like dancing. There's room in the aisles, I'm sure, just mind those hips. So we've got a medley of some of ABBA's, nine of ABBA's top hits. Hope you enjoy ABBA Magic. this evening. But the next piece, which is brilliantly apt, it's a fabulous piece called Forged in Fire. And it was composed by 6-time Emmy Award-winning composer Mark Waters and arranged by one of America's most successful orchestrators, Ira Hershing, having written for Hollywood films like Toy Story, Rush Hour, Scorpion King. But more importantly, this piece was written as a tribute to the fire service rescue teams who risked their lives, similar to earlier today, talking about NATO. So to take you through the finale, starting with Forged in Fire, please welcome back, with direction of music, Regiment Greenock.
So without further ado, I'll hand you over to the Chief Officer of the Scottish... Oh, just one, sorry, before we go. We'll be talking about James Braidwood tonight and the legacy that James Braidwood has left the fire service. We have in the audience tonight Diana Hamilton-Jones, who is James Braidwood's great-great-great-granddaughter, and she's in the audience tonight. So now pass over to the Chief Officer of the Scottish Fire Rescue Service, Ross Haggart.
Thanks very much, Dave. Provost, ladies and gentlemen, and I see there's some children here, so boys and girls as well. As Dave said, I'm Ross Haggart and I'm the Chief Officer of the Scottish Fire and Rescue Service, and it's a great privilege for me to be here tonight at this Gala charity concert for two great causes, the Scottish Fire Brigades Heritage Trust and also the Soldiers Charity as well. And it's also a great privilege for me to be in a position to be able to thank everybody responsible for tonight's entertainment. And I think you would agree it's very fitting for me to start with the band of the Royal Regiment of Scotland who have entertained us so well tonight. Clearly it takes a great deal of talent, leadership and practice to witness what we've seen tonight, and no egos on display whatsoever. I'd also like to thank Dave and the team at the Heritage Trust, first of all for organising tonight's event and tonight's entertainment, but also for all they do to preserve the very rich history of firefighting within Scotland. And as we've already said, particularly this year, we're commemorating 200 years since the creation of the first municipal fire service in Edinburgh in 1894 by James Braidwood. So thanks very much to Dave and his team for all that you do for us. I'd also like to thank all of the staff here at the Beacon Arts Centre. I think you'll all agree that this is a fitting venue for tonight's concert, and thanks for all your efforts this evening and everything to prepare for tonight. And finally, I would like to thank you all for coming here tonight, making it such a great evening and raising money for two great causes. And I'd like to wish you all a very safe journey home. Thank you.
we're now going to finish in a traditional way with our regimental marches, but I just have just one last shout out to someone. There's a chap in there, a very charismatic chap in Bill Webster, who used to serve as a musician in the British Army, and he's come along this evening. And it's lovely to see one of our fellow brethren here this evening, so thank you very much. It's his first time back singing an army band since he left the military. So I hope finishing our regimental marches brings some back to you as well.